Thanks for coming along and watching the presentation. I chose this subject as I'm very passionate about web migrations, the intricacies, the data, and the challenge that they provide every time that we go into one of these. Over the past few years and months, I've worked on a number of migrations for large scale through to smaller sites, and I can honestly say that every single one of them has been challenging, just due to the different natures and the different challenges that they actually bring to the project. So the topic of website migrations is large, but today I want to focus particularly on two areas that require data and how that data is pivotal in the project overall. So without further ado, there's more and more brands going through website migrations at the moment, and one of the big ones that I've seen recently over the past 12 to 18 months were Barclays, where they went from the barclays.com through to the home.barclays TLD. And there are a number of different reasons why people are actually going through this, and I just want to go through a couple of those to start with. So first of all is getting a new platform, or re-platforming in some cases, where there's out-of-date technology being used. The technology that they actually have for their website is not currently delivering the capabilities that they require as a business. This could be that it's not mobile friendly, they require a new CMS, they maybe have an internal discussion where they've actually not got the resource capable of adhering to that platform, so they need to remove, and this obviously requires a migration. Also, you might have the right technology, but the website's stale and needs it for a redesign. There are many companies who have undertaken redesigns, from large corporates to retailers and service-based companies. Many were focused on improving their user experience and customer journey through a better look and feel. If during these phases the information architecture is tweaked and improved to accommodate the user journey, and therefore a migration will be needed to actually all the old links and move into the new places. So a migration is needed. Or there may be just a domain move or a brand move. You finally got your non-hyphenated version of the URL and you feel that you really want to move to that. Or as I mentioned earlier with Barclays, you've got the new brand TLD that you want to move to, and you think that's really core to your groove moving forward. You may have been acquired or bought by another company, leading to the brand change. It's these type of things where you can move across to that new domain. These type of migrations can be a standard lift and shift to a full-scale migration that includes new platforms, look and feel, alongside information architecture. But effectively, what we really need to understand is website migrations are not easy. There's more to it than buying a new domain, putting up a website, or there is more to it than just replacing the current architecture with an improved version and just expecting it to produce the same results. This is just not happening. When you start a migration project, you're not only beginning a complex piece of work that combines data, project management, development, but you also need to accommodate for a search engine that is largely an unknown entity. And obviously, we've learned so much about what works and what doesn't work within search engines, and that's why you need expertise within the team when you're considering going through a website migration. On most cases, you will see that a website migration will go very well. Everything is conducted as you expect, and you can see the new domain take over from where the previous domain left, and in some cases surpass the previous domain. What you can see on the graph here is a transition towards the end of 2015, and the domain actually has gone on to surpass the previous domain, and it's been a great success. And we don't hear enough about these type of migrations in the industry, but these are the ones that should really be celebrated, because on other occasions, migrations don't always go as planned, and you see loss in any of or all of the metrics that you're currently measuring. These are the projects that you generally hear about, whether they are discussed in public domains or in private groups. You often hear, oh, I wonder what happened there. Why have they lost those traffic? Regardless of your planning, the implementation, the hours of work that you put into a project, it just doesn't work out. And you spend the next several days and weeks and months trying to figure out what went wrong. Are the redirects working? Is the analytics code in place? Did I remove that robots.txt disallow command? All of these things are generally the first things, but generally at some point, most people blame The search engine and the algorithm. It must be something to do with the algorithm. The search engine doesn't like the new domain. The links haven't been counted yet. Just give it some time, and many other sort of issues that come up with this. Now, on many occasions, each of those ones that I've just mentioned there are possibly true. And sometimes we are working with, when we're working with it in the realms of the search engine, we are in their hands. But in my experience, there has been a very small amount of blame put onto the migration team, not an individual, but the team that was in place to deliver the project. How many debriefs were taking place after the website migration to see what could have been done better, what went well, what didn't? Did we get all the data that was available? Did we have access to the right people? Did we launch too early? Should we have been waiting until after peak to launch our new domain? All these questions can be only answered by us, the human beings within a project team, and not the search engines. Owning up to a mistake or improving, shouldn't be something to shy away from, especially for a website migration, as there's so much to go into the project. Now, just looking at the different aspects and people involved in a website migration is vast. From reasons to migrate, to the stakeholders involved, through to the data and launch plans, lots of different people are involved, which requires lots of coordinating. These are just 10 migration areas that I've covered at a top level. But when you dive deeper into what each of these areas consist of, you see something like this. And these are only the ones I could physically fit on the slide. And there's so many more that I've had to leave out pure to space. So there's no wonder on occasions that mistakes can happen. It's just about how we limit them from occurring. And if they do happen, how we learn so they don't happen in the future. Now, one of the key areas that we can improve upon is data gathering and ensuring that we have the right tools to gather data that will inform our decisions going forward. And over the next few slides, I want to just talk about two data gathering areas in particular, and they are benchmarking and URL data gathering. Now, both aspects are incredibly important to understanding how the project performed and what URLs to map where. Now, both areas of these could be considered relatively basic, and to a certain extent, you're exactly right. Getting the right information should be a simple process. However, I can't tell you how often I've been told by somebody within the team, and I quote, "I have this, Dan, put your feet up, I've got it covered." Or you come into the project towards the end, which is another issue and another talk completely, to find out that only the top 50 pages have been redirected, and people are really progressing with this project. Now, what I really want to get together here and talk to you about really is understanding what data to gather and getting this basics in place, because if you don't have the basics in place, then there's no point going through to the advanced features, because you've fallen over at the first hurdle. Other issues that I come across is the use of a single data source. That's generally just a single crawl of the website, and they're mapping purely based off of this, or there's only one bit of analytics data that they're particularly looking for their benchmarking. And these are real head in the hand moments. Just thinking about this now is making me a little bit nervous of what people do and how they do it, and something I'm really keen to solve. So I want to share the process that I follow when I go and work on a migration to gather the information that I need to measure performance and gather all current URLs to improve the accuracy of the URL mapping. So the first area I want to focus on is benchmarking. This stage enables you to understand the current performance of the website and monitor it through the transition and for a period of time after the launch. You don't want to create something too daunting or overwhelming, as this is something that you want to provide your internal team on a regular basis, but also to the C-suite so that they understand exactly what is happening and how we can progress through. The objective is to create a simple to understand yet informative dashboard that can be read and understood by everyone without too much explanation. The process of creating a dashboard is simple, requires access to a set of tools and just needs to be updated on a regular basis. Generally, I would prefer to update these on a weekly basis if possible, but depending on your timescales and the tools that you use, you can either do weekly or monthly. Each dashboard will be slightly different as you want to track the metrics that matter to you as a business. The metrics I would consider standard across all companies, regardless of sector or size, is analytics data, including channels, visibility within the search engines that are not always being tracked, indexation levels, so understanding how your site's indexing, how it's progressing over a period of time, so you can get back in and solve any issues that you may come up with, and tracking ranking fluctuations. So although we don't use rankings as a goal, people still use them to understand where you're currently visible for what's important to certain businesses, and the C-suite generally like to see rankings. So what I've done is I created a template of the dashboard shown above here that can you guys can make a copy of in Google Drive. I've provided a link in the bottom right hand corner, and this dashboard covers the standard metrics mentioned above that you'd likely want to edit in to be more suitable to your business if you're required, but please do make a copy of it afterwards. So the process you need 4 tools, and we are not so short of tools in this industry. However, you will need access to your Google Search Console, an analytics package of choice, whether that's GA, Adobe, or anything else that you're currently using, a rank tracking software of choice as well, and some visibility monitoring software. And in my case, I generally use SEMRush and Advanced Web Ranking alongside GSC and an analytics package to gather this information. So firstly, what I do to start this off is I head over to SEMRush, and hopefully most of you are familiar with these. This is very simple. You go in, you insert the domain that you're currently in, and then you head over to the search positions report. And here you see a list of all your keywords that your domain is currently ranking for that are currently within the SEMRush database. What I generally do here is export the keyword data and add it to the spreadsheet. And then what this will do is, this is not used initially, but we use this later on to perform a keyword analysis at a later date. Now, I would do this every week. I believe that SEMRush update on a Thursday. Every week I'll go there to download all of the keywords, put them in the spreadsheet and put the date next to it. What happens is then after a period of time, you start to get all of this information where you can create a pivot table and start to see the fluctuation in your rankings or visibility within this case across a period of time. Now, I do that every week. Now, secondly, there's a number, as you can see, in this case, that's 6,546. This is all of the keywords that you currently downloaded, and I would put this into the spreadsheet as shown on the slide. Now, you will update this every single week into the spreadsheet, and this will update the database. As you migrate, so when you go to the new domain, you just need to do this process with both the old domain and the new domain. So you'll start to see that you have a period of time where it's only domain 1 in this case, and then over a period of time you'll have domain 1 and 2 with visibility, and ideally and hopefully you'll see that it tails off and you'll only get domain 2, and you can start to see that very nicely within the tables. Secondly, I go to Google Search Console, head down to the index status section, and what you'll see is the indexation graph here. Now, every single week I will go here, I will take the current total indexed figure and export it into my spreadsheet. And if it's done monthly, then you need to take the data from the last day of the month and then add that into the table. Now, don't forget to add a GSC console profile to your new domain so that you can take both indexes once they're launched. Again, you want to see a similar approach where one is going up and one is going down to represent the changeover. Now you want to go to your analytics package of choice, and this is where it's slightly different for different companies. Some people just want to see total traffic and what impact that has had within the measurement of performance. What I'd really like to do is actually see where the traffic has been hit, if there is a hit, or where the traffic is spiked within the different channels. So take the sessions per week or per month, add it to the table, but do it per channel. So you'd have a direct, you'd have a referral, an organic, paid, social, or other, and then that way you can see which channel has had a negative impact, if there is one, or which channel or channels have had the positive impact, so you can work around it from there. If you do require all your channels, then you will need to make a small edit to the spreadsheet that I've provided. And finally, the ranking part of it is this can be kept within your platform of choice, because generally the ranking software nowadays are flexible enough to be able to manipulate within the system. However, ensure that as you migrate, again, you are making a domain change to the platform. So you've got both domains in there so you can see when one's ranking and one's not. This is something that you can copy and paste into your report so that the C-suite can see ranking distribution and fluctuation as part of this report. And finally, as you add this in week on week, then you start to get this database and this dashboard will start to fill. The template that I've provided allows you to do this on a week-by-week basis or a month-by-month basis, depending on your needs, and it will update in real time. So you could just provide the people that are in the know with access to this dashboard, and then you just update it on a regular basis, and they'll be able to see that. Now, all of this can be done using APIs that are available. So if you are technically savvy enough to do so, then please do save some time. Please get the developer to correctly use the APIs to pinpoint the data and import it straight away. So yeah, please do take care of the migration reporting in the bottom right hand corner. Now moving on to URL data gathering, and one of the things that most damaging part of any migration is getting the URL data wrong. So thinking that a handful of redirects from your main navigation is just not going to cut it. You really need to be more granular than that. It takes some time and research. And to do that, I use 5 tools. Hopefully you've all heard of these tools before. And I use Deep Crawl, Google Search Console, Google Analytics, Ahrefs, and URL Profiler. There are obviously other crawlers and third-party link profile sites out there that you can use, but I just found that these are the ones that I've come accustomed to, and it's worked really well for myself. The first thing we do, we run a crawl of the website and we export all of these URLs into a spreadsheet. Now I've provided again a template at the end of this section, so feel free to have a look and download it and use as you will. And what you're looking for here is using the advanced settings in Deep Crawl to get a most granular approach and all the URLs that you possibly can from the current website. And you can manipulate those once it's in the spreadsheet, but the initial idea is to get as much information from the website itself as quickly as possible. At the same time, you want to run a crawl of the XML sitemap and export this into the spreadsheet. Now, I know Deep Crawl and other tools can do this at the same time as a single crawl, so please go and do that straight away and export this to your spreadsheet. Now, using Google Search Console, there's 2 areas in Google Search Console that I want us to go and download data from. The first is Search Analytics, and from here we want to get an export of those pages being recorded from the last 90 days. If you're using the API and you can get more information from beyond the 90 days, then do so. Although it's likely that these pages have been caught in the crawl, it is key that we gather this information. So once you have it, export it into the spreadsheet and add it to the list. Still in Google Search Console, head over to the most linked content section, and more traditionally these are used for link audits, but it provides a great list of your most linked pages, and that is something that we want to ensure is retained when migrating across. Obviously they've talked about this a lot. Links is still a big part, so we want to make sure that any links that we had to those sites are moved across to the new website. Now export both reports and add them to the spreadsheet as well. Head over to Analytics next, your analytics package of choice. And this is going to be some of the best source of information that you're going to get from for the migration, providing you the details of the pages that have actually received traffic. Now, we can do the crawl of the website, but if they haven't received traffic for 3 years, then we need to discuss whether they actually need to be migrated at a later date. But, I mean, the crawls and other sources are just not going to get that information. So navigate to the location where all of the pages are. Alter the date range. I generally go from anywhere between 12 to 24 months, depending on whether there has been any major changes in that period. You may or may not want to include those. And then just export that information into the spreadsheet so that you're starting to get a real big list, and you're talking about thousands of pages here. Link data. So we want to gather some link data, not only from GSC, but also from our third choice party. I head over to Ahrefs. I think is a great tool and it's something that I use regularly. And download the most linked content into the spreadsheet. So from here, you go to the pages, best pages by links. And then if you can export all of those, that will give you some real good insight into those pages that are linking. And as I mentioned previously, we want to ensure that your links are being ported over where necessary. One thing I do need to know is if you are doing a migration, you should really do a link audit before you do the migration, so you're not passing across any penalty that may or may not be there. And then one thing that I don't see people doing a lot, and I think is a missed opportunity for a lot, is actually exporting a list of your images. Now, you do, or you may likely to receive traffic through image search. So if you're gaining lots of traffic for image search and you're not actually going to migrate your images or redirect them to the most relevant pages, then you potentially going to lose a lot of traffic. So I've put a link down in the bottom right hand corner here that shows you a step-by-step guide of how you can go and see whether you receive enough search traffic from image search in Google Analytics. So it's worth checking that out, but definitely export your images as well and start to think about redirecting your images from old to new. Now, the only issue you're going to get here, and what you can see in the spreadsheet, in the screenshot here, is the image file names. If they're terrible like this is, where you got number, how difficult is it going to be to actually redirect those across? It's going to be very time consuming and maybe need some development help, but I believe that it's a requirement that's worth the effort if you get enough image search. So what you've got now is a huge list of URLs, and you've got them all, and you've got them from different sources, so you've gathered lots of information, and it's not just from one place, so you know that you're feeling confident that you've got all this information. Now, using the spreadsheet, you need to dedupe this information because there's no point having multiples of the same URL. You want to remove all of that so you have a really clean list. Leave your parameters in at this stage because that can be used for any rules that we want to create when we come to the redirect phase itself. So you export that, put it in to the spreadsheet, you dedupe it, and then you need to head over to URL Profiler. And once you've fired up URL Profiler, you put it in here, tick the HTTP status, check whether it's indexed as well, so tick Google indexation. And sometimes you may want to tick Ahrefs, SEMRush rank, social shares if you're really looking for that sort of information, Google Analytics as well, so that you can get the information on all of the URLs put into one single place, and then hit run. Now, if you have a large number of URLs, which you're likely to have, you may want to run this procedure through either a proxy or another machine, as it could take a while. So when your URL profile is complete, what you're going to have is a final list of URLs from your current website. You're going to know their status code. You're going to know whether it's 200, whether it's 404. You're going to know whether it's indexed within the search engine. You're going to know whether it's received any traffic from direct or paid or organic channels. You're going to know whether there's links to those particular pages. And this allows you then to make some real good insightful, informed decisions on your redirect maps going forward. So I mean, exporting this is the last step, and that's something that we'll do. So one thing here is, if you're going to make a mistake, do not let it gathering URL data be it. Thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, thank you so much there, Daniel. A lot of information there. And again, there's so many questions that I could possibly ask you. The one that jumps to mind is, I had a look in your positive migration screenshot, and it seemed to take at least 4 months for the new domain to bring as much organic traffic in as the old domain. Do you think that's about average in terms of what people should expect if they're intending to move domains in the future?
I think it very much depends on the domain itself and what you're migrating to. So is there any history with that domain? Is it a brand new domain? There are so many variables, and that's where the migration is a challenge in every single time. I've been with one that's taken 6 to 8 weeks and we've seen really positive. I've been with one that's taken 12 months and it's gone positive. There's no real time frame that I can give you. On average, I'd say it's anywhere between 2 to 3 months. But it really depends on the different variables that come within a site migration.
Okay, it's a tough one to ask, but I guess that's why I wanted to ask it as well. So thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I guess the conversation will continue in the digital Olympus hashtag there. So wonderful having you on. So thanks again.
Cheers, thanks very much.